people. They're great leaders. And the Board of Peace is composed of leaders, the top leaders in the world, actually.
The United States promising the start of a new future with the help of this Board of Peace to help settle conflicts around the world. The president just unveiled the charter for the board on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum earlier this morning. It is a key part of his two-day trip to Switzerland. NewsNation's international correspondent Robert Sherman is on the ground for us in Davos. Robert, good morning to you. Fill us in on what the president just said about this new Board of Peace and who isn't on it.
Yeah, one of the more interesting elements of this trip here to Switzerland, Markie, the development and culmination of this so-called Board of Peace, which has really garnered interest from around the world. And fundamentally, this is all about the situation in Gaza. That's how it initially began in its premise here, about bringing peace to that region in order to ensure stability by using the influence as well as the advocacy of other states around the region, but also around the globe in order to ensure that the situation remains stable and constant there in Gaza. With the president saying that he does believe with this Board of Peace, this is a possibility. Take a listen.
And of course, the war in Gaza, which is really coming to an end. We have little fires that we'll put out, but they're little. They were giant, massive fires, and now they're down to little fires, so we can put them out very easily.
Taking a look at the big picture here, I mean, this goes beyond just Gaza and beyond just the Middle East specifically. You've seen a number of countries that have already made the decision to sign on to the Board of Peace. Some of them made that announcement here this week. That includes a joint statement sent out by 8 Arab and Islamic countries. Here's a whole list of members that we're seeing so far: Egypt, Israel, Turkey, Argentina, Belarus, Hungary, Kazakhstan, Morocco, Vietnam, the UAE, Jordan, Indonesia, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. The door is open for more members to be joining this list, and there's a few notable names here. One of them is Russia, which the president says that he feels confident the Russians will ultimately sign on. We've heard from the Kremlin today, who has said that they're still studying the document and if they want to be involved in this. Some other countries have said that they're not prepared to sign on yet. That includes French President Emmanuel Macron, who so far has declined to join this. The British came out today and said that they were not joining this Board of Peace yet. And a big element here, Markie, is how would this work in tandem with the United Nations? The president was asked if he wants the Board of Peace to replace the UN. He said this week that's not the ultimate goal. He still believes in the UN in premise, but is looking for this so-called Board of Peace in order to broker stability across the globe here. So how it evolves, who all ends up joining, is going to be very important to watch here. But you have seen a large list of names already making the decision to sign on here just this week.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.